Ever since humans developed language thousands of years ago, it's been our primary means of communication. We use language in interpersonal relationships, in work environments, and it drives our thought processes. Language is also very important culturally. In the distant past, when there were many more discrete cultural and ethnic groups, there were a significantly higher number of languages than today. Empires throughout history have absorbed and amalgamated smaller cultures to make communication easier and to impose the imperial culture. Latin spread all over the Mediterranean as a result of the Roman Empire. Muslim expansion increased use of Arabic to all across the Caliphate. Hundreds of years later, the number of English speakers exploded due to Great Britain's colonial success. The new imperialism of the modern period drastically changed the world. European empires like Great Britain, Germany, France and Belgium took over vast swaths of territory using superior technologies like machine guns, railroads and the telegraph. Colonists entered these foreign lands with the idea that the natives were uncivilized and inferior, an idea emerging from the nationalist and racist ideals of the time, in particular social Darwinism. In colonies with a direct rule by Europeans, colonizers actively tried to destroy the indigenous culture and replace it with their own. Language was a part of this as well. The modern period saw a large amount of language loss. Some languages were lost naturally, but many were lost as a result of colonial policies. Native languages fell out of use as new colonial languages became necessary to engage in industry and business. Frequently, it took only one generation not growing up with it to lose a language. In some places, however, new languages were created. In trade colonies, like those in the Caribbean, pidgins, makeshift languages created when two groups of people without a common language meet, and creoles, the language that is created when a pidgin develops fully, evolved out of the need to communicate for commerce. New varieties of English were created in places like South Africa and Australia. Language and grammar are more than just a framework for communication. From linguistic imperialism in the modern era to debates over AAVE, the black dialect, often misunderstood as bad English today, it is obvious that language's power, although unnoticed most of the time, is enormous. Some linguists even go so far as to say that the language one speaks influences thought. Proponents of this theory of linguistic determinism state that because different languages have different structures that mean one must form ideas along certain guidelines, the usage subconsciously enforces concepts and is didactic in itself.
Let's examine for a minute the whole matter of the spectrum. Now, in our particular language, in our particular culture, we break up what we call the spectrum with 6 color terms: purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. But do all languages use 6 color terms for these same impressions of the physical world coming in to physiologically normal people? No. For instance, a language in western Nigeria has only 3 color terms. And there's another language in western Nigeria, Bassa. And Bassa has only 2 color terms, Hui and Zizan. And you might say, well, this seems incredible. And how can they get along with only 2 color terms? Can't they tell the difference between the color of the grass and the color of the sky? Well, if you ask them, they'd say, sure. That's sky hui and that's grass hui. They get the same kinds of impressions generally, physically, that we do, but having different words. I'm quite sure they see the world of experience differently than we do because it is filtering to them through different words.
Through this lens, we can see linguistic imperialism as a colonialist means to enforce worldview.